Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we have Moria versus Lakers Croc. I said in a previous video, I think Lakers Croc is really strong into this meta, just because the meta slowed down so much. So let's see how Croc does against one of the strongest black decks in the format. I think Gecko Moria being a sleeper deck in this format as well, just because people love the new Lucci leader, but Gecko Moria I think is just as powerful. So first couple turns, dropping the Sindri on the Gecko side and the Hiyori on the Croc side, swinging in 6 ad lead and then pitching a Hina so that I can bring back the Perona, forcing Croc to rip a card out of his hand, and then really unlikely he'll counter out of that first swing there. So really strong turn, Perona being one of the most powerful Thriller Bark cards. And then Chase is just searching away on his turn here. Man, him having to search and not hitting any of his top end, really good news for us or Miss Wednesday, just because we don't want him to ramp as much as we could stop it. So good for us that haven't seen any of that just yet. But in my 5-down turn, I attach 1, swinging in 6 at leader, and then using the hog back to grab the Gecko back to my hand. So the 6 actually connects here, but it being a space Luffy punishes me there, being able to pop my Perona without her swinging yet. Yeah, I think in yellow decks, I just need to start anticipating that they run Space Luffy, just because he's such a powerful card, and also his trigger is really useful for stopping swarm decks. So definitely the right sequencing there was to drop or use Perona to swing first before making the leader play. But Chase answers with a Missile Sunday, being able to ramp 1 anyways, and drawing a card off of her effect. So he does have 1 Dawn up, which tells me that he's probably leaving it up for an event in case I go super aggressive here. But honestly, at the time I wasn't too sure how Croc worked, just because I don't play Croc that much or against Croc that much. And so I really forgot the most OP event, in my opinion, being able to redirect an attack. Really powerful. So here, Croc swings in 6 into the Hina. I decide to try to defend my board as much as possible. Just because a board this wide, I should be able to crack in super heavy next turn. I did make a slight misplay though, just because I did have the Gecko in hand from previous turns. I think for sure I could have just used a Rebecca blocker instead of ditching the Suru, just because I'm gonna be able to recur her anyways with the Gecko. So I didn't want to give him any value from the Croc, and so I end up getting rid of him before attacking. So in order to do this, I actually had to overlay Rebecca and Hina here, and it sacrifices a Hina swing, but at the same time I'm able to prevent him from cycling with the Croc and also restanding one of his Dawn. So I was able to pop out a Helmeppo and Brook, lowering the Croc enough to KO with the Brook effect. And then here, just swinging in minimums at this point, trying to get as many cards as I can out of his hand. And it does work. He does look really slim on cards, and with only 1 life up and me having 4 life, felt pretty safe here. And then him forced to Katakuri, his own monster or character. Makes me feel really good just trying to swing in as much as I can here. So just counting how much Dawn I have to work with this turn, and I just poke in for 5 to see if he has any counter, but it looks like he might be pretty slim on counter. And this turn, I believe, this turn or the next turn, I actually made a misplay, just because here I'm swinging in 9 with Gecko, and I believe he has a trigger that KOs my Brook here, if I remember correctly. But he ends up taking this, and yep, another Space Luffy coming out to KO the Brook. And this is where I totally forgot about the Oh Come My Way event, being able to redirect any attack onto any other character on his side of the field. So misplay from me, but I don't think I got punished too hard. Making that play, definitely the more optimal play would be to split the Dawn between the Moria and Helmeppo, swinging in there. But on his crackback, he just swings 5 at lead. I actually take it just because at that point I'm not really in danger of dying in any way, and he dropping down another ace and then swinging in again. So now I'm in the same scenario where I can swing, but this time I just split my Dawn evenly. He only has 3 cards in hand, so he either gives me all of them or he dies, and he doesn't have the counter for it, so I was able to take the first game there. Moving on to game 2, definitely know what I need to look out for now against Croc. So let's see how his game plan changes as well, just because Croc does fold to you being able to remove his bodies, and him not finding the early ramp really hurt him that game, as you could see there. So me playing down the Sindri, unfortunately I didn't really hit any of the good Thriller Bark cards. I only hit a Gecko Moria, which is obviously not useful for my next turn, but this game he's actually able to find the Miss Wednesday, so we should be able to see him ramp a little bit and get value out of her. So here I swing in 5 at lead, and then I drop down the tempo Hina, just because I think I only had an Absalom in hand and I wanted to save him or his on play effect for when he drops the Miss Wednesday. And this is exactly what he does here. So I tap 1 Dawn. I'm guessing I'm just gonna play the Suru, minusing 2, and then using 4 Dawn for the Rebecca and playing the Brook out of my trash. That way I don't have to swing and he doesn't get to ramp off of her effect there. So we're still in a pretty commanding position this game. I think being on odds though does make it pretty difficult for us to establish dominance really early, just because Gecko loves playing the 8-drop Gecko on curve, and being on odds means that you have to wait an extra turn in order to play him down. So Chase drops a Bond Clay against us here. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, just because I don't really have any large bodies on the field right now, and I'm not even able to play any large bodies. So as of right now, he's not too much of a threat. I opt to play down the Helmeppo, minusing 3 on the Bond Clay. I ignore Miss Wednesday here as well, just because he's already going to be at 9 Dawn next turn. So him being able to ramp doesn't matter too much for me, because I know he runs Yamatos and the 8-drop Croc along with Katakuri. So if he's not at 10 Dawn for the ace, he'll just drop those anyways. So I try to pressure as much as I can for counters out of his hand. So here I swing in just a bunch of minimums, and then finally a 6k swing, and I actually was able to get a bunch of cards out of his hand, which is good for us. But yeah, I do see a Yamato in his hand, so he probably can get out of this pressure pretty effectively. He swings in 5 into my Brook here. I actually dropped the Absalom down just because I want him in the grave for my Gecko play. But yeah, with 5 or 9 Dawn up, I'm finally able to drop down the Gecko, and then yeah, I'm able to do the Brook into, or Rebecca into Brook play to pop his Miss Wednesday. So I had the Absalom pitched to the grave, but after seeing the ace come down, I figured a blocker would be nice to have here. And also Rebecca being able to play out 2 bodies for the price of 1 is always really valuable. But unfortunately, he does have a Yamato on top of the 10-drop ace, being able to pop my Rebecca, and then with the rest of his Dawn, he's probably gonna just tear my board apart here. So here he actually doesn't have too many cards left in hand, and me only having 1 Gecko makes it really daunting to try to go for lethal here. So I just try to get as many cards as I can out of his hand, swinging in 12 into the ace here, but he did have the counter for it. Looking back, definitely should have just committed more Dawn into that to make sure he dies. But I think my thought process at the time was that I could just swarm board and hopefully rush him down before he's able to heal up too much. And this is what I start doing. I attack 6. I was hoping that I could find a hogback so that I could recycle my Gecko in the trash, but still no hogback this game. And then playing out the Rebecca for 4 Dawn and grabbing another Hina out of my trash there. So my board is pretty well swarmed. It's really just up to him to clear board, but him having another Yamato means that he's just going to be that much harder to kill, because Yamato, when you're less than 2 health, her being able to KO something on my board and also healing, it's just really tough for us. So here I try to see if I can get more cards out of his hand. I might have been able to get away with just a bunch of 7k swings across the board, but it's a really tough decision, just because if I give my board away, I might just end up dead anyways. So I opt to swing in for 5 here, and then just dropping the Sabo blocker to make sure I don't die next turn, and leaving the Helmeppo untapped so that I can try to swing for lethal next turn. Kind of praying he doesn't have any more heal on his side, and starts off his turn by searching the top 5 of his deck, taking his time, probably just gonna grab the event here, and he does. And with 8 Dawn remaining, I'm just praying he doesn't have Croc or Katakuri, just because I really need my swings to connect if I want to go for lethal here. And yeah, him having another heal just makes it that much more difficult. So he clears my whole board here, and then he does have another Katakuri. This is basically the nail in the coffin here, just because the Katakuri putting that card back in life means that if I were to swing, Croc would be able to trigger 1 Dawn back to active, and then his "Oh Come My Way" will then become active. So really tough spot here. Very strong combo, honestly, with the Katakuri, but at this point really nothing I can do about it. So just to try to stay alive, I try to kill one of his Yamatos, just because I was worried that if I swung into the ace, I just wouldn't be able to kill him. So 11 going into 9, and then just finally finding a hogback and using him to grab a 2k to hand. Looking back here, I probably could have grabbed Moria to hand, but if I did, I definitely wouldn't have had enough counter in my hand to survive. So 7k at lead here, and then 8k at lead I'm forced to take. Now down to 0 life, and then I actually had to pitch my whole hand to not die there. So hogback coming just a little too late there, and Croc ends up cooking Moria in the second game there. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.